In our first example of converting winning positions, we are looking at the concept of being up material and simplifying. So you are up some amount of pawns, maybe a knight or a bishop, an exchange, which is a rook for a bishop or a knight. And your next step is going to be to actively prevent your opponent from getting back into the game, but also trading pieces and utilizing your piece majorities and your piece advantages. So take a look at this position sent to me by a subscriber. In that position, black has just captured the pawn on d4 and has misevaluated the exchanges, thinking that the knight is under attack, but the rook is not. Well, here, white plays the move, queen takes rook. That is possible. The queen can take the rook because the queen is defended by the bishop. Not only that, only black's queen can take back. You see, if this rook was over here, that would make no sense because the rook would take the queen. So white captures a rook. And now we enter some sort of capture chain. So if black took back, of course you would take the queen, and now black would only be able to have a choice. Black cannot get both pieces at the same time. So if black captured the rook, you would just move the knight. If black captured the bishop, you would just move the knight. And if black did this, the best way of escaping here is to force your way out. Because if you just move, black will do this. But if you actually take a knight on your way out, black is forced to, in some capacity, recapture, and then you would win the pawn, since if they go here, you defend your bishop, right? So essentially what I'm saying here is this is kind of like the introduction to our position. In the game, this happened. So now one of the easiest things to do is to very quickly realize you've just won a rook for a knight. So don't get stuck there, all right? My boxing coach always says, like, when I throw the punch, don't get stuck there. Don't wait with the punch. Bring it back quickly. Pop it, right? And bring it back like a bouncing ball. So don't get stuck on c8. Easiest thing to do here, and one of the best ways of preventing counterplay is to simplify. You might be sitting there going, but queen takes pawn. Just queen comes out of danger and takes the pawn. Yes, you're actually completely right. My only concern with that is that the queen is the most powerful piece. And if you play a move like this, it only takes a couple of moves of counterplay to be created, and all of a sudden, black's most powerful piece arrives on your shores and your king is wide open. So it really would benefit you to trade the queens off, especially if it's a position where your king could come under some fire, right? So in this game, white decided trade the queens and then take the pawn. Let's take account of the material. White has 2 bishops, 2 rooks. So white is up a rook for one of black's pieces, you could say the knight. And black has 5 pawns and white has 6. White is much better. White has a 3-point material advantage. What is the easiest way of converting this? Getting the rooks off the board, getting the bishops off the board, and getting another piece off the board, and just basically leaving it to rook versus knight. That is by far the easiest solution. Whenever you have a major amount of material advantage, you can lead a devastating attack on your opponent. We will see that at some point, but in some cases, you just need to prevent counterplay and then do some damage. So first of all, simplify and then do your damage that way. So first of all, it's never too late to hang any pieces. Let's bring the bishop all the way back. Now, a move like knight to d3 here is a fork. You snap take that. You do not even think about it, all right? Now, in the game, this was played, so the bishop went this way. A move like bishop c7 should be avoided if you're any rating points above 800, because if you're below that, you still might think people don't see things. No, that's just way too simple of a move for this course. Just back up. Now you're safe. Now black plays the move knight to b3. So if you move the rook anywhere, you might lose this pawn. Is it the end of the world? Not necessarily. I love the move rook to d1 in this position, but if white plays rook to a2, that's also completely fine with me. Rook to a4 is like a distant backup. You don't really need to play that move. In the game, white played rook a2, but the move rook a to d1 is still very decent. And if the rooks were to be traded, I don't really care what you take back with. Probably rook is better to activate the rook. Not there, but to the green square, and then takes. That would be completely fine. So rook d1 is a good move, but rook a2 was played in the game. Black played rook c8 attacking the pawn. There's a few ways of defending it. You can push it, you can put your rook behind it, and not to mention, that's also a free pawn. So you should always look for checks, captures, and attacks, right? And in this game, white actually took on a7. It was a capture. It was the most forcing move that you had. So you take, you simplify pawn for pawn, right? Now you start pushing. So this is a nice and simple example of simplifying the queens off the board to prevent any counterplay from reaching your king, because black's current setup of pieces is simply not strong enough. And then you bring the other rook to the party to target the knight, and you're using all your pieces. You're using all your pieces, and you're using an outside pass pawn. That's everything that's being used in this position. Very simple technique here. Of course, you make this trade. The less pieces, the better. And now you go rook to b7. Utilizing your a-pawn, defending your rook, forcing another exchange. Black can play a few different moves here, like this, for instance. If black did that, there's a few ways to win. You can just play rook c2, or you can take here and then play rook b2, rook b7. Also completely winning. I think in the game it was this, and now you can either queen or play rook here, or rook a6 was also all right. Make the queen and go on to win this position. And the way you win this position is just more of the same. In fact, one of the most natural ways to win this position that might make life a lot easier for you is to sacrifice the rook for the knight. For instance, I've seen this happen before, and it actually can be much easier for a brand new player to, like, just very slowly, bring up their pieces. And there are some moments where I'm just going to put the knight here just so you understand. It is a free knight, but I'm just trying to show you that, like, something like this is much easier to win with white because all the opponent has is pawns. And pawns are relatively easy to tame. If you accidentally blunder a fork all of a sudden to a knight, you're going to just lose a rook for nothing. So that is a little bit about simplifying. You grab your material, you trade off queens, and then you avoid danger. And like I said, in this position, rook a2 is a nice move. I also like the idea rook to d1, simply offering an exchange. The exchange is not guaranteed, but if the opponent doesn't trade with you, you can still play this move a6. You can bring your rook down to the 7th rank. We're going to have a whole segment later, I think later in the course. I believe later, yes, a couple of chapters later. Chapter 8, I believe, on utilizing your different pieces like rooks, bishops, knights, and so on. And rooks love to be on the enemy 2nd rank. So offering that trade to your opponent is kind of like a lose-lose for them. Either they trade rooks with you and they get nowhere in the position, or they don't trade rooks with you. Your rook infiltrates, takes everything. So, excuse me, I'm going to drink some hot water. My throat kind of hurts. I've got a whole thermos here. So this entire segment of recordings in the black hoodie in the evening here with the hot water will be a fun chronicle. I'm recording all the chapters out of order so that I don't get bored. You see, if I record 1, 2, 3, 4, then I run out of, like, I just go crazy. But if I record 2, then 6, then 8, it actually keeps me a little bit more entertained. I don't know why you have to know that, but now you do. Anyhow, this was an example of going up material, preventing counterplay by trading off some of your opponent's most active pieces, avoiding threats, and utilizing exchanges and an outside passed pawn to simplify down and create some winning chances for yourself, and a very, very decent game by my subscriber.